Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Mark. In this video, I'm going to talk about the concept of oneness, how we are all one, which can be a very difficult concept for our human brains to grasp, and that is completely okay. If you have not already, please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. You'll be notified when I release new videos. So we hear this, in videos, on content online, we're all one, right? We all come from source consciousness. We come down, we break into fragments of awareness, and we live in this time-space reality, this dense universe, as separate beings. Well, that is true. However, we talk about this concept in a way that we're really supposed to be able to understand what that's like. And we forget that we're here to really have an experience of separateness, which that in and of itself removes us from that concept of oneness. Well, how do we grow and how do we move back into that in a way that's meaningful and in a way that we can understand the concept and grasp it with our humanity, and yet operate through in this time, throughout this time-space reality from that kind of a perspective? That's the challenge. Now, we talk about dimensions, different frequencies of being, different densities, things like that. We talk about our ET guides being on a higher frequency, deceased loved ones, where do they go, right? They leave this reality, they go to a higher frequency. Our spirit guides, our higher self, all on higher frequencies, right? And these are all concepts really invented by the brain. They're invented as a function of this 3D reality to try to make sense of some of these concepts. So we have an attachment to these labels, and we have an attachment to these definitions, right? And we kind of shape our reality based upon the programming of these labels and the programming of these beliefs. They're really limiting beliefs, aren't they? So when we look to a higher dimensional frequency, say our ET guides, our brain says, well, they reside on another frequency, therefore we're separate. They're separated from us. And that brings up a trauma of landing here, being in this physical body and being cut off from our own source energy. So we are really doing ourselves a disservice when we look at things from that perspective. The world of spirituality, right? The modalities and things like that, in a way, reinforce that concept of separateness. We're always trying to get in touch with something greater than us, which that puts us into the frequency of separation, doesn't it? We lack that connection, whatever. So we're trying to return to it. And again, we're separated from it. That's our human brain. That's how it processes information. And that is traumatic, right? So we start out going down the spiritual path by really believing that we're separate from something we're trying to connect with. Now, when I had my awakening, I wasn't looking for it. It just happened. And I was in an energy of a greater version of me, had all this information and energy flowing through me. Then I landed back here a few moments later and started looking around, and my brain kicks back in and says, wow, what was that? It's separate. We have to get back to that. And that's trauma. Okay. So it's those types of traumas and those types of limiting beliefs that we're separate that control our reality. They manifest situations in this reality that continue to reinforce that everything's separate. Everything here reinforces the fact that we're separate. So it pulls us away from that energy of who we truly are. That's a function of this universe. Well, how do we go about moving beyond that so that we can reconnect, right? Isn't that really the key, the thing we're looking for? If I go into meditation and I'm trying to reconnect with an aspect of me, I'm really kind of acknowledging that I'm separated from something, right? So now I have resistance. If I'm doing breath work and I'm trying to reconnect with something, I'm acknowledging that I'm separated from that, and that's resistance. And I know I teach these things as a way to move you into a frequency that is more in alignment so that it becomes easier to connect, a frequency of less resistance so that we can learn to let go and detach. But I wanted to bring up in this video that these things, even spirituality by definition, really is a concept that separates us from who we truly are. It puts kind of like our soul and higher self on a different level. And kind of, we're down here separated from that, right? So we have to be very careful as to how we approach these modalities and what we're looking to get out of it, and what really is the true purpose behind becoming spiritual and reconnecting with your higher self. So if we flip that and we could realize and start building circuitry around the fact that we're not separate, that we are our higher self, we're just making a choice to attach to the programming and the limiting beliefs that we have in the brain, the Rolodex, the database of our brain from human experiences. That creates a feeling of separation. Okay. That creates a reality of separation. Now, the reality isn't real. None of this is real. Okay. It's just a choice to align with the reality that we see in front of us that really feels and appears real. And once we do that, we separate ourselves. So the key here really is to realize that this isn't real. This is just a playground. This is an energetic grid so that we as energetic beings can really bring forward experiences and kind of perceive energy around us, okay, in a different way through our senses. That's what this is about. So when we align with this reality and we really believe it's real, because matter makes it feel real, right? It makes it appear real. When we're thinking in terms of that frequency, we are ignoring the fact that everything's energy, and we're not seeing that everything's energy because we are cutting ourselves off from that. We are separating ourselves from that by buying into this reality that appears real, okay? Because that's the programming we've been taught. Those are the traumas that we've experienced. Anytime something happens to us, we're a victim and we think it's real. Therefore, we create more density around that experience. And when we look out into our reality feels that much more dense, hence real, right? So that in and of itself is really, again, creating separation from who we truly are. So when you go into meditation and go into breath work and things like that, it's very important to start really not trying to reconnect. You know, when we're trying to reconnect, we're really acknowledging that we're separated, right? We're separated from something. It's good that we have awareness that there's something else there that we're trying to reconnect with. But that very thought of reconnection is telling us, subconsciously at least, that we're separated from it. If we go into meditation and breath work and we sit with the frequency of knowing that we are not separated, that none of this is real, these are all just experiences, there's really nothing to reconnect with, right? It's kind of just anchoring the truth, which is that this is all just an electromagnetic playground here. And we're allowing that energy of ourselves to flow through. And once that energy of our higher self flows through, because we're always connected to it, we're just making choices to not allow it to flow. When we can anchor in and reprogram ourselves and our subconscious to know that none of this is real, we open the doorway to allow the higher frequency energy to simply flow through. And when we do that, we turn on all of our abilities, our empathic abilities, telekinesis, seeing energy, clairaudience, all the clairs, everything, clairvoyance, everything just starts to come online. Okay. It reactivates within us. And not because we were separated from it, but because we're acknowledging that we were not. And that's the key. And in order to do that, we have to detach from this time-space reality, this dense grid, and detach from it and know that these are just simply experiences, that none of this is truly real. Remember, before my dad passed, I know I had talked about this in videos before, he had told me that, we'd be sitting and we'd point to the table and he would say, Mark, none of this is real. He goes, this is clear. This doesn't exist. It's not here. And that, hit home. I know he was bringing a message forward to me, but not until recently, I didn't really understand fully what that was. And I believe this is what he was talking about, that when we're so focused on this external reality and this concept of being separate from something and trying to reconnect with that, we are really saying that this reality is real. We're giving it more weight. We're making it feel more real. And that separates us. Okay. So it's simply thought, simply programming. There's nothing to find. There is nothing to reconnect with. There is simply a detachment from reality and an allowing your higher source energy, which you're already connected to flow through you and affect this electromagnetic universe, this grid that we're in. And as that happens, your reality is going to start to change. Time is going to compress. You're not going to be waiting so long for things because, again, with this timeline, we're separating ourselves from an event into the future because we're buying in or, focusing our energy into this time-space reality, thinking it's real. So when we can detach from that and the time literally will compress and things will be able to manifest much more quickly. I'm going to do more videos on this topic and they're going to go very, very deep. And they may be a little challenging to grasp at first, but you need to hear these topics and these concepts. A lot of this came in over the past few days, very high frequency stuff. It's going to change the way you see reality. It's going to change the way you operate. And I'm going to move in to start developing some tools that are going to help you to anchor this in and truly detach you and free you from this energetic grid that we are convinced is real. It's going to be some mind-blowing stuff, guys. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Fantastic stuff ahead. Okay. And I'll put a playlist together as I do more of these. So you want to subscribe to that as well. If this video resonated with you, hit that thumbs up button, leave some comments below. Love to hear from you. If you know anybody that can be helped by this, share it. I would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, guys, love and light.